Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are diving into something I am super excited about. We're unpacking a really fascinating framework. It's a deeply structured 32 days psychological and spiritual course called Bring Heaven to Earth. Now, the whole point of this source material tackles something I think we literally all strive for. How do we take that internal, intellectual knowing and actually turn it into everyday embodied living? It's a total game changer, honestly, because it brilliantly maps out exactly how to stop endlessly searching outside yourself and start actually rewiring your daily reality. So here's our trail map for the journey today. We are going to logically follow the exact chronological progression of this 32-day course. We'll start with when knowing isn't enough, break down the 4 movements, explore your inner compass, walk the path of embodiment, and finally wrap things up with day 33 and beyond. All right, let's jump right into part 1, when knowing just isn't enough. Now, I want you to think about that deeply frustrating gap we literally all experience. You know the one. That massive canyon between having all the right information, knowing exactly what we should do, and actually tangibly changing our behavior. It's a total tug of war. On one side, you've got intellectual knowing. You've read an entire library of self-help books. You totally understand your psychological patterns. You're doing the meditations. You're analyzing everything. But then on the other side, embodied living. Because despite all that searching and reading, you still find yourself picking the exact same argument with your partner, making the exact same tired compromises, or firing back at that passive-aggressive work email with the exact same knee-jerk reaction. We constantly look outside for answers we already have. It's just exhausting, right? Well, that brings us to the core paradigm shift of this entire program. Transformation isn't about escaping reality. It begins by becoming deeply present to what's already happening within you. This whole journey, it is absolutely not about running away from your everyday life to some quiet mountain retreat. Instead, it's a direct invitation to experience your normal, messy life completely differently. The transformation you're craving isn't out there. It starts by waking up to the present moment, right inside yourself. Okay, so let's dive into the core framework in part 2, the 4 movements. This is really the logical backbone of the journey. Over the 32 days, you move step by step through 4 distinct, really powerful stages: purification, stabilization, activation, and embodiment. It's a strict chronological progression that takes you from merely seeing yourself all the way to fully embodying your presence in the real world. You really can't skip ahead here. Every single step builds the foundation for the next one. So, step 1 is purification. And the big takeaway here is that you've got to learn to see first. You have to recognize those inherited beliefs you're carrying around, the hidden fears that are quietly making your decisions for you, and the roles you've just learned to play over the years. Some of this stuff might not even belong to you anymore. But here's the absolute crucial part. You're looking at these things not to judge them, and definitely not to fight them. You just need to see them clearly. Why? Well, because you literally cannot consciously change a pattern that you can't see. Once you actually start seeing those patterns, you move into stabilization. And I just want you to pause for a second and really ask yourself, can you remain present when life becomes uncomfortable? When you're triggered? When things get really hard? Stabilization is all about holding space. It's about practicing your breath, your observation, and your stillness, right smack in the middle of the storm. And the magic here is that by exploring stillness during those uncomfortable moments, you're actively creating space between what happens to you and how you respond to it. You are rewiring your immediate reactions. And honestly, that tiny little space between stimulus and response, it changes absolutely everything. Because when you aren't blindly governed by your very first reaction anymore, a brand new superpower becomes possible: choice. Which brings us to part 3, your inner compass. Now, what's really interesting here is how the source separates true intuition from just a fleeting fear or a sudden impulse. Your inner compass is your true inner knowing. It's your capacity to listen deeply and recognize what is genuinely in alignment for you. Because let's face it, not every impulse is intuition, and not every fear is truth. This activation phase is all about moving beyond the noise and the expectations of others to develop a relationship with this discerning inner compass. The source argues this is the absolute most vital instrument you'll ever possess. So how does this actually work in practice? Let's quickly fire off the practical mechanics of how this inward journey is delivered. You're not just sitting back and passively consuming information here. Every single day, you get focused teachings, you answer specific inner compass questions, and you have to take one real-world embodiment action. Plus, there are 8 live group sessions mixed in throughout the 32 days. This makes sure you're actively practicing, reflecting on your triggers, and sharing your discoveries with a whole community of people walking the exact same path. Next up is the climax of the course, Part 4, the Path of Embodiment. The source hits us with a pretty harsh truth here. Insight without action eventually just becomes another form of escape, and we definitely don't want that. True embodiment means taking all this newfound presence and bringing it into your ordinary choices, your personal boundaries, your communication, your work, and your real-world conflicts. It's the difference between escaping into a safe, quiet, meditative retreat and actually arriving fully present into your very real, messy, everyday life. Ultimately, embodiment demands that you challenge yourself with this incredibly tough question. Can I actually live what I know? Can I remain connected to myself while also being connected to others? Can I speak my truth without abandoning my compassion? It's a huge challenge. But remember, the goal here isn't to completely alter your personality or become someone else. The goal is simply to become more fully present as yourself in every single interaction. And finally, we reach the ultimate goal in Part 5, Day 33 and beyond. This beautifully illustrates the true trajectory of the whole program. Day 1 is literally just the first step. By day 32, you've created an integration map of your patterns and discoveries. But notice how the timeline doesn't stop there. Day 33 is the real measure of the journey. And day 90, that represents lasting transformation. The creators make it absolutely clear. This is not about chasing a temporary euphoric high on day 32. It's about complete integration. Lasting transformation is measured entirely by how you live your life after the formal course ends. So what does that post-journey life actually look like? Well, it looks like the integrated life. Do you now automatically pause before reacting? Are you communicating differently with your partner or your coworkers? Do you trust yourself deeply enough to actually make different choices? Are you living with greater grounded presence? Real change, you guys, doesn't happen in one single explosive movie moment of enlightenment. It lives entirely in the repeated, quiet experience of choosing differently in those ordinary, everyday moments. I want to wrap up with this incredibly powerful namesake message. Heaven is not somewhere you need to escape to. Earth is where you get to embody it. This entire journey is asking you to stop trying to escape the world and instead bring something much deeper into it. Bring your truth, your courage, and your deepest knowing right here to Earth. So I'll leave you with this final provocative thought based on everything we've explored today. What truly becomes possible in your life when you finally stop searching outside yourself and actually begin listening to the compass within? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.